listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
All right, so I'm not like the most technologically proficient person. I even had a hard time saying that word. But when it comes to having to administer my own IT work, basically all I know how to do is turn things off and then on, or, do other things. Now, but I'm curious. Today, I had to do that thing we all have to do every time we sign in somewhere. Yes, I forgot password. How in the world would you assume? I mean, I'm not supposed to use the same password on everything anyway, so I guess I'll have to just think up different passwords and forget them and reset. So this morning I was trying to reset a password and it kept sending an email, and then when I would click on it, it would say, "This email has expired." And I tried it again. So it turns out, just in case you're interested, it was 15 times, and then
what?
I was able to change my password.
Oh my God.
And I don't know what the difference was. I don't know why. I tried turning on and off my computer because that's all I know how to do. And 15 times. So
it's that old saying, 15 times the charm.
Yeah, see? Now, would
But
you
also-
have given up? Was I wrong?
I just want to back up a second and just congratulate you for being able to turn your computer off and on, because a lot of people just don't do that. They'll just hit their head against a brick wall and try a million things when what you really need to do is reboot your computer. So that's a huge step, I think.
Well, thank you. That's
just
basically all I have in my
that.
IT toolbox there, really, is the turn off and turn on computer. But would you guys have, should I have given up earlier? I mean, I recognize this story has a happy ending.
Well, how important was this, logging into this account? Was it to be able to watch
15 times important. That's important.
It was an important password to change.
Well, then you have to do it.
Yeah.
It was about getting money. It was a money thing.
You got to get your money.
Right?
Yeah. No, you're at the mercy of the money. You're at the mercy of capitalism at that point. So
yeah.
you just gotta get it.
It wasn't to watch Christmas with the Cranks on.
No, I didn't have trouble with my Spotify, Netflix, Crave, Disney Plus, Apple Plus. Is it Apple Plus?
Yeah. Or,
Amazon.
I don't know. Apple something.
Who knows?
Whatever else I signed up for.
When I had that Criterion, for a few weeks, and I was trying to share it with both. I was trying to share it with you, Lisa, I think.
Yeah.
It was a vicious loop. It would not let me reset the password. I kept going back and forth, and it was only logged into one window in one random account, and I just couldn't do anything. And I think of myself, I mean, I know I get frustrated, and I know that I am easy to frustrate sometimes, but I have actually been professionally employed in a support capacity to provide technical support, So I'm not great and proficient. I haven't done that job in 15 years, but I still have some basis. And this was just one of those death loops that went on and on and on forever. And I had to email their customer support. And at first they just tried to keep giving me those canned responses. And I mean, I get it. I had a long list of canned responses that I would go yeah, close enough, But you kind of just, at some point, you have to reach a human who does the actual real work of reading. And it's just, it's just all kind of a disaster. But I know the amount of work I put in to just get into my Criterion account and then cancel the damn thing. So I understand completely 15 times. That's great work.
I just kept thinking eventually.
Yeah.
I'm doing everything right. I'm hitting resend, password, reset, right? Because the link would expire and then it would say resend, and I would resend it. And then I would try to remember to close all the times I tried at the top. But eventually I could see how many times I had done this. And on the 15th time, it finally let me.
But we need like a you know how last week we were talking about TaskRabbit?
Yes.
Stick all the way.
Yes.
We need like a person who's a TaskRabbit that can help you with IT stuff.
But that wouldn't have required, that was just perseverance. That wasn't,
that's like an error.
Maybe that was an error on that part.
It seems like an error on the code. It's not an error on your part. Like,
yeah. Or like as a TaskRabbit person that would like keep all your passwords for you.
Oh, there we go. Now we're talking. Because you're not supposed to write it down, though. Yeah, and I don't know if I could trust someone.
So Carlos uses this thing like 1Password or something, and it creates like, so he has to know the 1Password, and then it creates unique passwords for all the different sites that he logs into. But the 1Password that he has to know is wild. It is long and complicated and complex, and I could never, like, honestly.
And he's memorized it?
I don't know how he's done it. I don't know what he's done. His brain is special. But I think a lot about like you know how like we kind of have to, as part of our, just our planning for death, you have to think about like your digital properties and your social media and stuff like that. You
always steer it around to this.
Always to death.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like it's just the way you got to think about these things.
Do you realize that this is our Christmas episode?
I am sorry to say that a lot of my Christmas associations involve death, and I still love the holiday season. It's just I am a person who contains multiple experiences. That's all.
Recognize that. That's
sure.
But
I still have fun. But I think that you can making sure that you're not locked out of each other's accounts if somebody unexpectedly passes is important.
Well, death does actually segue into our conversation. And I'm not talking about a death of spirit.
The slow death of you and Andrea Gin having to have watched Love Actually again.
Yeah.
Round 7, I honestly think now I've decided we could seriously go for like up to round 20. All right. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This, and it is our annual Love Actually versus the Holiday episode.
2 movies that have no right being versing each other, but we have pinned them together forever and ever and ever.
But you know what? In my Googling this year to do research for our outline, people are starting to group these 2 movies together in pop culture of like, which is the better Christmas movie? Which is your favorite Christmas movie out of these 2? Like it is they are becoming linked.
Oh, they are. I think they absolutely
we started that.
linked.
We should be able to like copyright that for sure.
Yeah, like 7 years ago.
The original fight. 2015. Where were you? December.
Well, I guess more
10th.
specifically, now we've got other options, but in the rom-com world, Christmas rom-coms, there's a lot more of them now with Hallmark really busting them out and Netflix and everyone else. But for a while there, these movies are older, right? These are Christmas rom-coms that, that kind of lingered, and now there's like a lot more options for you if you like rom-coms at Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, Love Actually is from 2003. The Holiday is 2006. Happy 25th, The Holiday. It's an exciting time. Wait, 25th? I can't do math,
15.
guys. I'm so sorry. 15.
Yeah.
What am I saying? That's fine. Let's leave that in. Let's just show people I'm slightly dense. It's exciting.
That's
but
like watching these 2 movies back to back.
Truly,
you lose your ability to do math.
Now that I think about it, like I can't believe that these movies aren't older. Like this is our 7th year doing this. Like, it's almost
Love
half
Actually. Love Actually is aging so poorly. It does feel like a movie from 25 years ago.
Yeah, that's fair.
It does, but I also feel like The Holiday is only 15. How is that possible? How Doesn't it seem like it should, like, we've been doing this for almost half the holiday's life. That's great. That's
Next
wild.
year, we definitely just have to have Nancy Myers and Richard Curtis on. It's just, let's let them do it.
I mean, let's face it, like, that would be amazing. Would I rather, like, spend the whole time talking to Nancy Myers? I think so. I feel like Richard Curtis has more to answer for.
Yeah, I agree
which,
with
you
that.
know. All right. So if we need the background, let's do this. Love Actually is a 2003 Christmas-themed romantic comedy film written and directed by Richard Curtis. It features an ensemble cast composed predominantly of British actors, many of whom had worked with Curtis in previous film and television projects. Mostly filmed on location in London, the screenplay delves into different aspects of love, as shown through 10 separate stories involving a wide variety of individuals, many of whom are shown to be interlinked as the tale progresses. The story begins 5 weeks before Christmas and is played out in a weekly countdown until the holiday, followed by an epilogue that takes place 1 month later.
And to the holiday. I was trying to do my Let's Get Ready to Rumble. Is a 2006 romantic comedy film written, produced, and directed by Nancy Myers, co-produced by Bruce A. Block. It was filmed in both California and England and stars Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz as Iris and Amanda, two lovelorn women from opposite sides of the Atlantic Ocean who arrange a home exchange to escape heartbreak during the Christmas and holiday season. Jude Law and Jack Black were cast as the film's leading men, Graham and Miles, with Eli Wallach, Shannon Sossamon, Edward Burns, and Rufus Sewell playing key supporting roles.
Okay.
Here we are again.
Here we are again.
Now we're over to you, AG.
So I want to just say, like, just in case this is the first time anyone's listening to an episode of our podcast, historically, what have the two of you, your stances been on these movies?
I am very pro The Holiday and have always disliked Love Actually and have consistently disliked it more every year. I don't know if my affection for The Holiday has gone up because it was always pretty high from the moment I saw it in the theater in 2006. I remember really liking it. I think I appreciate having it every year a little bit more, just in the sense that it gives me such a cozy, happy feeling. So I enjoy that. I dislike Love Actually more because it gives me more sadness and grief and anger every year.
I am started pro Love Actually, and I really hated The Holiday with just a mad fiery passion. I have over the years moved to a position of finding things, moments, however brief and small, that I actually enjoy in The Holiday, and understand that there are a lot of wildly indefensible things about Love Actually, but I still love it better, and I still love it overall. That said, is there a 40-minute version that I would love to see an edit of that I personally cut down? Yes. So
that should be your project for next year, and then we can just have a screening of it somewhere.
I would enjoy that because 2 hours and 15 minutes is a really long time to spend with a bunch of people I do not like.
I mean, The Holiday also 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I have to say, I felt every second. Like, at least with Love Actually, there's a lot of characters, a lot of stuff going on, moves pretty fast. The Holiday doesn't move fast.
Of course not. It's slow.
I have news for you two.
Uh-huh.
Like, you probably spent more time with these movies in the last couple years than you have with, like, many people in your lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for putting that in perspective.
Yeah. Now I just feel a lot of guilt. Thank you.
But so over the years, we've had a few guests weigh in. In year 4, we had many-time guest Sarah Geisler on the podcast. I can't remember which movie she favored.
So Sonera has good things to say about both, but I think she like really made a compelling case for The Holiday.
Okay. And then in year 5 is when we did that really fun live show at the Rio Theater.
Yes, that was great.
Yep.
With Alicia Tobin of Retail Nightmares and Rachel Fox of the Rio Theater. Alicia Tobin was like pro The Holiday and Rachel Fox was pro Love Actually. But I don't think there was like a definitive result at that live show, except that most of the audience was there because we actually screened Love Actually after our podcast taping.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of pro Love Actually people just naturally there. Like I walked out angrily after the podcast taping was over to like not watch the movie, but I didn't see many other people doing that.
No, I did not need to see it again. Again.
But we had a fun time.
We did. Yeah, we had great popcorn, that's for sure.
Great popcorn.
Yeah, the Rio is amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then last year was the first time I participated in one of these.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't like either movie that much.
Even for the holidays, you can't find it.
I don't mind The Holiday, but I don't think it's a great movie.
No, I don't remember saying I think it's a great movie. I just remember saying that I love it at Christmas. I don't know if I think it's like one of the best movies ever made, but I definitely find, I eat a lot of different foods at Christmas that I don't ordinarily eat too, or drink. So I'm a different person at Christmas. Very different.
So Christmas Lisa, big fan of this film.
That's right. There we go.
January Lisa, it's fine.
Exactly. I got a whole other year to wait.
I had no idea. I thought you were just a year-round watcher of this film.
No, I wait. I know it's
okay.
You watch Love Actually all year long?
No, but like, I mean, I don't know. Love Actually feels so specifically like because The Holiday arguably is like a New Year's Eve film, and it just again because you have not wavered on your love of The Holiday, and I think my relationship to Love Actually has changed a little bit over the last 7 years or the last 6 years as we go into our 7th. I can see myself like watching it for like a Christmas in July fun time or something, but yeah.
Interesting.
So, I guess let's start off by reviewing Love Actually. So, like all three of us have watched these movies fresh.
Yeah.
For
I
this
watched them
episode.
both.
Yeah.
Could I share an observation that I made
Yes.
this year about Love Actually? So this is the first year that my grandma has watched both films with us.
Mm-hmm.
Grandma made it through The Holiday. Her review, it's dumb but nice. She only made it through 40 minutes of Love Actually. And in the first 20 minutes, she turned to me, and I think it was the first like naked scene where like the guy's like, "Can you massage the nipples?" She turned to me and she said, "Is this what this is?" And I had to actually realize, yes. So Love Actually is not a Christmas rom-com. Love Actually is a Christmas sex romp disguised as a rom-com.
It's like a farce. It's like one of those Benny Hill episodes.
It is. Everyone is just trying to get laid. They use love as a euphemism. But it's like, it is a super horny and yet completely sexless Christmas film. And I just was like, how did I not really see this as much? And I realized that, like, I think that's one of the things I had enjoyed about it so much is it felt like kind of winking and naughty and subversive and like, and yet still sort of like safe the way I think of like English sex as like, it's just, it's a fun accent, but it's not anything that's like that interesting beyond like the vanilla. But there's still a little bit of like subversiveness because of the swearing and because of a bunch of people just like always trying to get laid, but using the euphemism of love. Love Actually is a lie. And
Whoa.
I am
Wow,
Sex
what?
Actually. Is that what you would
it's
change
sex
the title
actually.
to?
It's absolutely sex actually. And that's fine. And that's fine. But I really fully realized like, oh yeah, every single storyline, like they talk about so much sex. No, not a single person actually gets to really have sex. And this is, I think it actually, like, this is going to sound controversial, but it re-solidifies my idea that this might be a bit of like a real early precursor to sort of like men's rights kind of things where like,
whoa,
people are like, I'm entitled to sex with women.
Pivoting. You are pivoting.
Wow, now it's definitely moved into a whole other territory.
This kind of like segs into like what my new thoughts were about this movie this year, which was that like this movie was just like, it's written by Richard Curtis, a man, and it's like a heterosexual male fantasy of what women are like.
Yeah, but it doubles down because remember last year I had like that big I had a big realization 2 years ago, and I shared it with you guys last year because it was after we had filmed, and I realized that every sexual act that happens in this film that is consensual is like a woman is initiating the actual sexual contact.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And like women are the ones who have the sexual power to give men what they want. But almost every situation, it's a man that is in the actual position of power in the power dynamic. Bosses, husbands who are cheating, like just, prime ministers. It is sort of that it's like the twist on that fantasy of that male fantasy is that he has applied his view of it, which is like women get to deny us sex. So in this movie, it becomes a fantasy for women that they are the ones who have sexual agency, when in fact, this is really absolutely misogyny with like some tinsel around it.
That's what I was going to say because like, a few weeks ago we were talking about Spencer and you were talking about how like, this movie hate women, and does Diana have any agency? And then just like watching this movie, it's like, is there a accurate portrayal of a woman period in this movie? Like, does this movie hate women? Do any of the female characters in this movie have any agency to do anything? They're all just seem like passive creatures. And yeah, like I also want to add that the thing that I got really angry about this year, which I didn't expect, was the treatment of Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
Like, why? How could they do that to Joni Mitchell? Like, receiving her CD is like a sad gift for somebody. That's like a really horrible way to treat an icon of music.
And also his line about how I thought you'd outgrow Joni Mitchell.
I know. Like, this movie is like mean towards Joni Mitchell, and that's wrong.
And Britney Spears and all other women, and and is very kind to a lechy old pervert musician. And his music is fantastic. His music has been embraced by the country because he's just so darn delightful and crazy, even though he is horrible. And they speak about women in the most horrible way.
Yep. 1,000% agree.
I also just bring up one thing that just really frustrated me again and again and again. And I think we've brought this up before, but I feel the need to bring it up again, is timeline. So I do not understand. At the beginning of this movie, there is a wedding.
Yep.
And there is a funeral. Mm-hmm. And people are at work.
Mm-hmm.
What day is it? And how is someone giving out sandwiches to people in the office while across town someone is getting married, and then across the other side of town somebody else is having a funeral? Oh, and then the prime minister is starting his first day at work.
So I think it's a Thursday.
A very popular day for weddings and funerals. And we know Richard Curtis is obsessed with weddings and funerals. So
he sure is. Yeah, no, I yeah, I mean, Colin, who is the worst, obviously, in Love Actually, is delivering sandwiches in the afternoon. And at evening, he's being a cater waiter at Juliet and Peter's wedding. And obviously working multiple jobs and sexually harassing as many human women as he can. And just being generally revolting and disgusting. Yeah, like I just think it's a Thursday.
And I wouldn't focus so much on it. It's just that this movie is obsessed with time, always telling us 5 weeks till Christmas, 4 weeks till Christmas. So this movie has a very clear sense of time, yet I have no idea how things happen so quickly. And I don't understand how some storylines are very long, like going to Portugal or wherever Colin Firth goes to.
Yep.
And meets that woman and then learns Russian and it manages to go or Ukrainian.
He learns Portuguese. He doesn't learn Russian.
He learns Portuguese?
Yeah, not Russian.
But
I thought
she speaks Portuguese.
Oh, she speaks Portuguese. Oh, why did I think he was okay.
Yeah.
I guess all right. Anyway.
But fair enough.
So then there's the couple that are doing the blocking scenes for the
I know, like how long is that movie?
That's
shoot?
5 weeks long?
I mean, the other thing is, how does the first lobster get her assignment for that play, but the kid only has 1 week to suddenly become a proficient enough drummer to play with a band and support my beloved Joanna in her incredible performance? There is no way. I'm sorry.
No, there
but
is
also,
no way.
Mia, the secretary, seems to think it's Halloween because she's dressing as a devil to go to a Christmas party, which is like...
I feel like there is some kind of, and I don't know for sure, but I feel like there is some kind of angel devil cosplay around Christmas amongst the the sort of naughty or nice folks. Who are into that kind of like, you know, just sort of, again, lame sex play.
You figure that would have come up in Bridget Jones' Diary. But
well, they do have a Vicar and Tarts party.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
There's, you know, yeah.
Anyway, timelines don't work in this movie at all.
Timelines don't work in this movie at all. I agree with you completely.
So A-Dubs, you think Colin is the absolute worst person in this movie?
Yes.
Lisa, who do you think is the worst person in this movie?
Oh, I'm going to agree. That is just... Well, no. I'm going to scratch that. I'm going to say the worst person in this movie is Richard Curtis.
Billy Bob Thornton, also terrible, disgusting,
terrible,
gross.
Cruel. I think I don't remember his name because I don't care to. Kira Sedgwick's husband's best friend.
Mark.
What an awful man. Not only does he love his best friend's wife and, you know, but he pretends to hate her and make her feel small and awful and that she's done something wrong and she's trying so hard to be kind because it's her husband's best friend. Meanwhile, he objectifies her in this creepy video, which she's supposed to be really flattered by, and then comes by her house with those stupid signs. So I'm going to say Richard Curtis and Mark.
I'm going to make a pitch for Daniel, Liam Neeson's character, as being the worst.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because, I know, this is new.
It.
This is new because I think it is incredibly, toxic for him to convince this small little child that this girl is the love of his life and he needs to chase her through airports and do all these extreme measures to declare his love for her. I also think that his whole thing about only fantasizing about Claudia Schiffer and then being interested in this mom because she is / looks like Claudia Schiffer,
and then at their airport at the end, they're together. So that worked out. Like that, talk about rebound. Jeez. I mean, again, was that only 5 weeks after his wife died?
Well, at that point, it's 9. Because it's a month later. So.
It's still not long.
What do you mean? That would be 6 weeks.
No, because the movie
Oh,
picks
4
up a
weeks.
month
Right,
after.
right.
Yeah.
Month, week. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, watching Colin and like the poor women playing the American girls, like I just feel so
I'm
embarrassed
embarrassed,
for
yes.
January Jones and Alicia Cuthbert.
But I think so. I actually like.
And then Denise Richards at the end.
And Shannon Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I actually think that the women playing those characters seem to be they are so much better than the part is written. Like the parts are written terribly, but the women themselves, I think, do a very good job, sort of like kind of playing the scene jokingly. I hate the
grabbing
scene.
at straws here, really.
No, what I'm doing is like finding like the things that I think there are a lot of good performances. That's the problem with this movie, as there are a lot of like really great performances that have given a lot of other stuff a real pass over the last 18 years. Obviously, like I think our society has changed substantially as well, so that like we are able to talk about a lot of this stuff like a bit more freely, a bit more objectively. Like obviously, as someone who really loved it in 2003 and who on this side of it, like there's still stuff I enjoy about it, but like there's also just a lot of grossness and I just can't handle it. Like I feel like that's actually kind of a reflection of the ways in which our attitudes about consent and misogyny and sexism have changed. Like we talk about these things much more publicly now. And I don't think we did that in 2003.
Yeah. And I will say that the movie was made obviously at a time where all of that seemed completely fine because everyone loved that movie so much.
Well, people, like, if you think about it, like, even up until, like, 2013, tons of women refused to call themselves feminists. Like, I mean, there's been a lot of important work that has happened socially in the last 10 years. But there's still, like, a ton more to do. And, I mean...
So, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Are you changing your stance on Love Actually?
No, I can talk about all this stuff and pick it apart and really like I can hold aside all the things I hate about it and still find joy in the things that I still enjoy about it.
But so you still think it's a superior movie to The Holiday, because that's really what this.
Yeah, The Holiday is so boring. The Holiday is so boring. I find it like pretty vapid on the one side for sure. I like the storyline between Kate Winslet and Eli Wallach. I'm happy that, you know, she seems to have found some companionship with Miles. I don't know what they have in common. Because and I love that she does finally tell off Rufus Sewell. Like, I think that's very cathartic every time. But The Holiday is still kind of boring to me.
Okay, Lisa, have your feelings to Love Actually changed at all this year?
Yeah, I loathe it more every year. I think it's a terrible movie, and I think it makes me angry every year a little bit more, and it just makes me like when it ends, I don't feel Christmassy. I feel sad. That airport scene, the final airport scene, it's just like Hugh Grant and the girl that he fired. Like, what? And now everything's better, and sad Emma Thompson looking at Alan Rickman, and then Colin arriving with Harriet, and it's just
it's all like that scene is just all a summary. It's like, let's review why you hate this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Parades out all the characters one by one, so you can just be like, check, check, check.
Yeah, and then I just turn it off, and I feel really blah, and I feel really sad, and I don't know what I've done with my time. And that is how I feel about when I finish watching Love Actually.
I'm sorry, dude.
It's all right.
Oh, dear.
It's a tradition.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess like it's worth us, to really reflect on this year, whether it's a tradition that's worth carrying on.
And it still pains me every time to see Emma Thompson have to open up that CD. It really does. And to her to have to go
but that's like a crime against Joni Mitchell.
Oh, it is. I agree with you and your new take on this, but just her having to go up to her room, and we had to watch that weird Rowan Atkinson trying to wrap that necklace, which now in retrospect is a horrible thing because it's not funny. This man is buying a necklace for a woman he's cheating on his wife on. I mean, anyway.
Yeah, I don't, it doesn't drag me down as much as Lisa, but I have to say that like, I don't like watching it, but every time I do see something new that I absolutely hate about this movie. And so, I mean, it kind of suggests that they're like, you know, it's sort of like a vividly painted picture of an era. And
wow, beautifully said. Beautifully said. Yeah.
It has layers. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's lots of indefensible things about it, and I love to not defend those things because, you know, indefensible. But there are like some moments that I genuinely love, and as I've always said, I do enjoy the darkness at the heart of this movie. Not on the like sexual crimes side, or the like hatred of women side, but just in that like the season can be pretty hard for a lot of people. So, but like
this is not the movie to send them to.
I like it. This is one of the reasons I like this film is because it is a complicated season. Like this actually like this earns the word complicated. But I feel like one of the things that this movie does really well is it actually has two songs that are just kind of like provide transcendent moments. And that's the Joni Mitchell song and the All I Want for Christmas Is You and all its different permutations that are like played throughout. And I also still really, I think it's like...
But I think that's canceled out by Love Is All Around being played so much because Christmas Is All Around, or, you know, that version, it's because that's the worst.
Oh, it's terrible. But I kind of enjoy that as like, I see so many, because I'm so obsessed with Christmas music and I see so many like craven attempts to like cash in on Christmas pop songs. That one, it feels to me like an accurate send up of what some of the covers do.
Okay. Well,
plus, honestly, weirdly enough, I know that like the manager, when he does a little dance while the recording's happening, I love that moment.
Okay.
Stone cold faces here.
You guys just do not agree. Yeah. No,
All I can think of is how terrible he is to his manager.
Yeah. The names he calls him and then thinks it'll all be okay at the end.
I mean, obviously this movie like hates fat people. We know that. But I mean,
Yes.
that's not changed over the years, you know? Yeah.
No.
But let's move on to talk about the holiday.
Please.
I don't think we have as much time to talk about it. But then again, I don't think it needs as much because it doesn't need to be picked apart as badly as Love Actually because it just is what it is. And no one was hurt during the filming of this movie. No animals, no people, just love. Just love.
I mean, it also doesn't need as much time because nothing happens.
What do you mean? People change. They go from complete grief and sadness to learning about themselves and finding love at the same time. I mean, that's the beauty of a rom-com.
I will say the thing I saw in this watching of this movie is that Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz are acting their butts off in this movie.
They are, yeah.
These are like, they're giving it. Like Kate Winslet, it's the only rom-com she's ever done. I read a little bit about how like she was a little worried about the idea of being funny because she's not asked to be funny in many things, and she was really stressed about it and wondering if she could pull it off. And you can see that she's like putting in 110% in this. And same with Cameron Diaz is doing like, you know, sort of like a Diane Keaton. We've talked about this before, but just kind of doing a Diane Keaton in this movie. And yeah, like I think for both of them, these are like great rom-com performances from both of them.
Agreed. And also, I really like Jude Law and Jack Black, and I think they're both great companions to this movie. I think you get two romantic leads for the price of one. I mean, you don't often get that.
Well, I think what I was gonna say, like when I was talking about Love Actually being the sexual male fantasy of like women, I think like this movie written by Nancy Meyers is like kind of the opposite of that. Like the male characters like there's like an evil, terrible man, and then the rest of the men are all charming and lovely and nice and like almost too good to be true. And in that way, it's kind of interesting. Like the women are allowed to be nuanced characters, but the men are all these kind of like stock characters that are either good or evil.
Yeah, I think that that's true, and I think it's like I again, this becomes more palatable to me every year. Like I like Iris. I even like don't mind Amanda as much anymore. And I do think
you were
like,
never moved by her whole issue of not being able to cry, though, which I found to be. I find that was such a heartbreaking thing to admit that you can't cry.
I think it's a question of relatability, and I think we've talked about this before. Is that this is this to me feels like one of those film things where it's like, we need to give this character depth. All right, she can't cry. And it becomes an obsession of like this former boyfriend who apparently also told her she was bad in bed. Like, I don't understand how Amanda has been with this person for like a long time. Like there's a bunch of things about Amanda that seem at sort of, there's a bunch of information about Amanda that seems kind of at a conflict with Cameron Diaz playing her. You know what I mean? I would be curious if Cameron Diaz was the original choice for Amanda. Obviously, she's a fine choice and she does a good job. I do think she does a really good job and she's working her butt off, as AG said. But it doesn't... She never really works for me as a character, and I find Amanda just extremely dull.
Wow.
I know.
She's a very sensitive, lovely girl.
Oh, no.
Who had her heart broken.
Yeah. I mean...
And she's gone away to try and become a more interesting person and do something interesting with her life. And she allowed it to be lost inside this man who didn't appreciate her or love her the way that she deserved to be loved.
But do we know that she deserved to be loved? I mean, ostensibly everyone deserves to be loved. I get that. But I'd be just like, what do we know about her that's like the only moment we have that I think actually works and is not, and I think it's because she's not just telling us a bunch of stuff that happened to her. Like, it's an actual moment of showing us something that's like kind of a lot of feeling, is that moment that they have in the tent with the two kids. Like, I think that is a really lovely scene. It gets me every time. Especially, well, not every time in the beginning, but it gets me every time now. And when he like goes to hold her hand after the kids call themselves the Three Musketeers, like that's a beautiful bit of acting and a bit of storytelling. But because she's just constantly like just monologuing and then in a situation of having to like comment on her own stuff over and over again, and he has to comment on her stuff, and Jude Law's funny, but they're not funny together. Like, I just their relationship doesn't really work that well for me.
Yeah.
Again, the whole complicated. Do you know how many times they call each other complicated? It's too many.
I prefer to focus on Iris and Arthur.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Iris and Arthur.
And I love their scenes. I love the kind of like the sort of meta-ness of this rom-com that we're watching. And he's describing what a rom-com should be and who the character should be. And so I think it's fair that you think that she's not particularly interesting, because basically he tells her that. Arthur tells her, you are the heroine in the story, but you're playing like the best friend.
Yeah, but Amanda's supposed to also, like, we're supposed to have two heroes here, right? And, like, she's not the best friend to Amanda. She's, like,
No.
the best friend in her own life, right?
Yeah.
And so I just feel like, as great as sort of the writing is with Arthur talking about what makes a good, like, heroine, none of that writing gets applied to Amanda.
Except
know
for
what I
she's
mean?
pretty in charge of her life.
Well, she is, but again, like, there's a real disconnect for me. Like, I
You just don't like Amanda.
Yeah, you're
It's
never
okay.
gonna like Amanda.
You're never gonna
Let's
like
just
Amanda.
accept that. I think it occurred to me watching it this year, like, could Jack Black's character of Miles be completely deleted from this movie, and would it matter?
So Kate Winslet ends up with Arthur?
No, like,
Because it is a
doesn't-
rom in this rom-com.
Yeah, I guess so. But it just, to me, it seems like he may not serve a purpose. Other than literally, like, you have to have someone that she's romantically interested in because it's a rom-com.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is the purpose he serves.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
is-
like, I think you
that's
answered
fine.
your own question.
But
like, right there.
he doesn't do anything.
Oh, he's so charming and sweet and romantic and funny. And he's getting to see that he has made mistakes too. And the women he has, pursued. And now he's finding that he can fall in love with a lovely, lovely girl that just likes him for who he is. That's
I
a
think
moment for him too.
I think their journey is supposed to be, like, mirroring each other's. And I think that sets it up kind of well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just a little bit vexed at the end because, like, they each go off to talk Miles and Iris each go off to talk to their exes, for, like, because their exes show up and they go off, and it's like the afternoon of Arthur's event.
Yeah,
his
that was
big
bad
evening.
planning on their part.
I know, and it's like, oh, well, so if like Iris had been told that what's his name had left his wife and come to be with her, like, she would have just
Jasper?
missed. Like, Jasper had just, like,
Yeah.
left his wife and come to be with her. She would have just missed Arthur's event.
I like to
because
think she would
was
have
hanging out
taken
with
him with her, but
Jasper. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah.
I mean, but Jasper's so gross. Like, Jasper's awful. I hate him so much.
Yeah.
Like,
I
all
mean-
he wants is, like, he's not, like, they're not together. He's engaged to another woman. He's buying her a bikini or, like, something naughty to wear or something. And then he wants her notes on his pages.
And stop making it so difficult. It's complicated. I wish you'd understand how hard it is for me.
Like, he at least could have used the word complicated and that would have been fine.
Mhm.
He did not. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I do love
like,
the kids though too.
Oh,
Clearly,
yeah.
Jasper has and always will be the worst person in this movie.
Yes.
I mean,
Clearly.
Edward Burns is pretty terrible too. Like, he is awful. Like, he's been having an affair with his, like, 24-year-old assistant and lies about it and tries to gaslight her, and apparently has told Amanda that she's bad in bed and that she's, like, unfeeling and cold and
Works too hard.
yeah, he's, like, such a gross dude. Like, he's like, they're, I don't know, Jasper and Edward Burns are tied, I think, for, like, terrible.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. But that's what I mean about the male characters in this movie. Like, they're either, like, the worst, most evil people, or, like, they're the most nice, charming, best people.
Yeah, well, it's a
There's
it's a
no in
rom-com.
between.
Yeah, I can get, but I like the idea of, like, we should be having more films that are sort of like, sort of, even if they're, like, sort of what would be considered, like, sort of, like, stereotypical women fantasies. I like that this provides this for us. Like, at the very least, it gives us two women who, even if I don't connect with one of them, like, they're two women who have distinct personalities, who have distinct characters, who, like, have their personal challenges and their own, like, hero journeys or whatever. And the men in their life I mean, obviously, are there films where we'd love to see it where it's not about men in your life? Yes. But those are films that are not called rom-coms.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So has anyone's feelings about the holiday changed this year?
I think I like it a little more.
I think
Yeah.
I like it about the same.
I think I would say I like it a little bit more too.
I got heartwarmed more this year, but I think it's just been a tough year. So I
Fair.
think it just really filled in nicely where I needed it to.
Yeah, fair. I will
So
say I was surprised that I had not ever realized that Love Actually is just a sex romp disguised as a rom-com. And I feel like I should have clued into that like a few years earlier. But you know what? Truths reveal themselves to us. This is why we have to keep doing. No, I'm kidding.
yeah,
I am
something new
I am-
every year.
I am legitimately okay if we decide ultimately that this is killing your soul, Lisa, and we don't want to put you through that
You
anymore.
know what? That's okay. I think it's tradition. I don't like to break tradition.
Yeah, but traditions are allowed to be phased out if they're like harming you.
Well, I don't think it's quite harming me. I just find
Okay.
it disappointing every year that it's become such a classic. That
I see.
something about that endures. That's what. And so I hope this podcast can help people to, check out what they might be missing in Love Actually and have an epiphany, or as Oprah would say, an aha moment.
Well, there are probably also like so many other movies that can like, I mean, I think it's fine to still love Love Actually. Like I still love Love Actually. I just want to be always sort of understanding and challenging like the bad things that are inside it. I don't want to be complicit in like upholding it as this like great thing when like I know that it's a lot of bad stuff with a real pretty bow and a few interesting moments.
That's all fair.
Well, do either of these films pop?
Yeah, the holiday sure pops. I will not give Love Actually a pop.
Yeah, I would say Love Actually, no pops, and the holiday, like kind of a holiday pop.
There you go. I agree with that too. I like a holiday pop. And
Wow.
we know what you're going to do.
No, I'm gonna give holiday pops to both.
Okay.
I mean,
That's...
I have,
Yep.
and with my usual caveats. But the caveat being even bigger this year.
The caveats become more and more and more to the point where one day we will wonder why you're still caveating it.
Well, I think
That's
you've been
an
wondering that
expression.
for a while.
Yeah,
Like,
probably have.
Yeah.
I probably
No,
have.
that's fine. I mean, there's lots of stuff I'm sure that like we can, we sort of like can enjoy in the context of a moment and say that it hasn't aged well.
Okay, so we like to leave our episodes on things we recommend.
Speaking of things that haven't aged well, but that I've come back to with a renewed enjoyment, I would like to go first.
Go for it.
Some of you might remember that I, at one point, did a rewatch of Dexter. And now there is Dexter New Blood.
Oh.
Dexter is back. And it is
Still angry?
several years later. Let's just say he's still got some issues. And I can't believe how much I've enjoyed it. Like, it's not great. It's not good. But it's still been an enjoyable watch for me as someone who did sit through all of Dexter. There are some old familiar faces that pop up, which is nice. And honestly, also, I mean, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but if you were a big fan of the woman who played Deborah Morgan, and you were also a little bit enraged at how the real life marriage between those two ended, and didn't feel good about what her character had to go through after that marriage broke up in real life. There's some nice moments in this series that will be very cathartic.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will go next, and I will say that how do I say this? Okay. So I thought it would be important to subscribe to the New Yorker. And I think it is important to subscribe to the New Yorker, to give your money to a publication that, has good investigative journalism, highlights the arts, features short story writers. Can I keep up with all weekly issues? No, I cannot. Do I want to be able to read every issue? Yes, I do. So I have now had to go back and start reading all of the New Yorker issues that I have missed. There have been many. They've just been piling up on the end of my desk. So I will say that if that is you out there and you've got a pile of New Yorkers, we make jokes about it. It was in The Good Place. There were jokes made about all the piles of New Yorkers. Get to it. Enjoy your New Yorkers. And I'm enjoying them. I'm enjoying all of them. It's just that look at this one here. November 22nd. I haven't even cracked it yet.
I mean, November 22nd is not bad.
you.
I thought you were going to be back in January.
No,
Yeah.
I've been, it's about the last few months that I just have been going, like that. So I'm very excited, though, to get to my pile of New Yorkers.
I'm sure there's many people like you out there.
I know. And I feel
sure.
like the most ridiculous cliche to say, I've got a pile of New Yorkers I just haven't got to yet. But there you go.
I feel similar. I have my subscriptions to Bust and Bitch, and I want to support them both. And sometimes it's months before I read them, because I used to just bring them with me when I would travel, and it would be nice to have them on the road and stuff. And I haven't traveled much, so
yeah, there you go.
I'm going to recommend a Christmas movie for people to watch, Carol by Todd Haynes. I may have recommended this last year, but it's something I like to watch over the holidays, and I'm going through a real Todd Haynes period and sort of rewatching his old movies. And for those of you who aren't familiar, it's a romantic drama period film starring Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara, and it's about a aspiring photographer and a woman going through a divorce who have sort of a forbidden romance, and it's a very beautiful, very moving film.
I've never seen it, but I've always wanted to, and I feel like we have talked about doing it for the podcast at some point. I know that you're not a big Cate Blanchett fan, Lisa, but
that's okay. I can do it. I can do it.
Yay. Well, we did it. We did it.
We did it. Wow.
Year 7 under our belts. I think we all came out fighting with good stuff.
We sure did. And
what a
happy holidays, everyone. I hope you get some time.
I want to make us some Justice for Joni Mitchell merch for next year.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for listening and for hanging out with us. And, if this is your first time listening to us talk about Love Actually versus The Holiday, here's a treat. 6 years behind us. You got 6 episodes to also catch up on. You can hang out with us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. You could email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com.
And thanks so much to Andrea Gin, who is our co-host and our producer here at The Holiday. No, Love Actually. No, Pop This. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Really appreciate it. And happy Christmas.
Yeah. Have a good holidays, guys.
Happy Christmas, everyone.